Good day, everybody. Well, I'm back. It's like 12:30 on the 2nd of February, 25, and yeah, I had a two-week hiatus, I guess, this time, and yeah, I think even if you try to talk in code, I think maybe either Google has, maybe they watch certain people. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't understand. Because some people get away with saying whatever they want to say, some people don't. And one of the things I noticed about this, that the thing that I've been kicked off of YouTube for 5 or 6 times now, is talking about certain aspects of the problem we had, where you had social distancing and lockdowns and all that sort of thing, and yeah, and they don't really like that. I tell you what, if you guys notice, I saw this parts of this hearing with RFK Jr. on there, and they're still pushing the lie. A lot of these lies about this, and they will not accept. And even RFK had to go along and start saying, acting as if he believes in a lot of the lies. Maybe he does. I don't remember what the heck his opinion on a lot of things are, anyway. But it looks like what they're trying to do is imprint this in history that, well, like I said, I can't really talk about this because, they that's what they like to delete me for, and I should try to avoid it. But, it bothers me. It's one reason why I had to come to this place. And I was planning on coming to Belarus probably anyway, because, certain aspects of things, and it was just accelerated because of that problem that was going on, like mostly throughout 2020 and 2021, and yeah, it's like I said, it's a better place. Just wasn't quite ready, as far as savings is concerned. And then you building an apartment, you rebuilding an old apartment from the Stalin era, and got involved with the wrong guy. We didn't sign a contract because it was through friends, kind of through the lady we bought it from. He'd already renovated, the same guy renovated 2 rooms, and he tore the whole thing out because he wanted the money to rebuild it. So it costs us many extra thousands of US dollars to rebuild the entire thing. So that was a bad thing. And if we would have had more savings, say if we stayed where we were, because I was making decent money and saved there, I could have lived for maybe 4 or 5 years here, my wife and I, without working and living fairly well. But we had to, cut that down to 2 years. Anyway, that's just a personal sort of a deal. So, and I'm here to talk about some sort of news. But a lot of this is things I want to mention is things like about Google. And there's ways, obviously, that you have some of these masters of the universe. And I'm not talking about the new master, where the guy's trying to be the master of the universe is Donald Trump. But I'm talking about some of the old guys. And some names you're not really allowed to mention, because I found out maybe because of the last video they took down. And I mentioned a guy. He was, I guess, supposedly a software engineer. He still owns a company. He's one of the richest people on earth. And, likes cardigan sweaters, wears glasses, and, talks like, oh, I want to save lives, somebody like that. And so you can't really talk about that guy negatively. And then if you notice, a lot of the negative things about this guy, they're wiped off the internet. They're just wiped off. And this guy's got a lot of power, obviously. And of course, he's got a lot of power, obviously, in Google. Lots of power with Google. So you can't talk about this guy in any negative aspect either. So that's just as much as some of the other things you're not really allowed to speak about. Strangely enough, you're allowed to say George Soros's name. You're allowed to say Klaus Schwab, things like that, and they won't really censor you and kick you off the internet for that. It's just that person you cannot talk about, and certain topics you cannot talk about. So I'm slowly learning, by experience, things about Google and what you can and maybe you cannot do. But of course, they don't like a lot of the truth anyway. A lot of the real true things that are going on in the world, they want to push an alternative. They want you to live in a paradigm world. with the masters of the universe. But anyhow, like I said, Donald Trump is now seeking to become the master of the universe. And he's thinking, apparently that there's a simple way to do this, just by jumping into office and putting tariffs on everybody for everything. And if you don't do what I tell you to do, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have more tariffs and this, blah, blah, blah. So tariff sort of wars. And maybe he just didn't think that there's going to be a lot of other countries, reciprocating and putting tariffs on the United States too. Canada said they're going to do that. He said, 25% tariff on Canada, 25 on Mexico. And I'm not so much about news, knowing about Canada, but Justin Trudeau was talking about what he's going to do about starting putting tariffs, things on the United States. Well, that's good to see that the guy's got a set. He's got a set of testicles, but during his what do they call it, transgender dances and things like that. But anyway, the Mexicans, of course, they brought up one thing, and it was already exposed many, many years ago. Maybe, how long ago? Maybe, was it at least 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, that a lot of this stuff with these cartels, these drug cartels, the United States is the one that's supporting them. They are, getting chemicals into the fentanyl, I guess I can say that one, yeah. They're getting fentanyl shipped into the United States, and maybe they're paying for that to a large extent with guns. And they're saying, the fentanyl's from China. I don't know how much of it is from China, but or if any of it is. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe, I don't know. But it's like somebody's buying it, and maybe the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. I really don't know. And then Donald Trump is so certain that the Chinese made COVID or whatever. And well, I'm not supposed to talk about that. Here I'm going into something that is related, but I want to kind of stay away from that, because that's what they like to take me down for. They don't like to hear the truth, and we're supposed to support the lie. So anyway, and yeah, that's just terrible. That I can't really, God, I hope I don't make a mistake and wax right into that, because it's a subject near and dear to my heart, as I say, and it made me change my life to a large extent, and accelerate my plans. I could have had things going a lot differently, but that's how things are, Okay, now let me get into some of the other news. I got a card here, but somewhere. Yeah, but as you guys know, I don't know, get kicked off the air a lot of times, and I trying to think of maybe some of the things that I was going to mention in the other one, but maybe it's not so important. So this last few days, we saw this confirmation hearing in the Senate, from for Tulsi Gabbard and RFK, and of course they want to sink them because maybe these people have too high a moral content, and a lot of the people that are senators, they want to keep their money flowing, and the way to get money, as you've all noticed, is to do things that are illegal, because it's much easier to make a lot of money because you get paid a lot more when you do things. Look at Ukraine, and I guess I'm able to talk about that. You have the children's trade. You know what's going on with that. It's terrible. Sex things and organs and all that, and then they got just the regular drug trades and weapons trades and all this, and hey, even the firefighting equipment. A lot of that stuff, as we all know, it went sent from the excess supposedly went from Southern California, and it went to Ukraine, and Ukraine, guess what they did? They sold a lot. Do you think it was only from California? What about other countries, or other states? Ukraine's getting a lot of stuff. Everybody, Ukraine, poor Ukraine, fighting for their freedom. Let's just send them a bunch of stuff. Let's still send them money, give everything to them free. And of course, it's never enough for Zelensky anyway. He demands more. So, boy. And anyhow, what was the big beef against Tulsi Gabbard was mostly Edward Snowden. But one of the things she said, I guess she was saying at the end, and a lot of these people, and for all these years, because they're trying to sink Tulsi Gabbard, she was rated at one point in time to be a future president by the Democrats. The Democrats thought so. And then she checks all the boxes. She's a minority. She's a woman. She's this, and she's military, you know, all this sort of thing, and extremely intelligent, very good person. But they don't necessarily want people too intelligent, and especially when you have a high set of morals. You have more, you know, they, you know, obviously they don't want that. You know, what they like is people like, say, Justin Trudeau, or some people that act like they have a lot of morals, but they have none. And it's amazing, you know, Donald Trump doesn't act necessarily like he has such high morals, because he, you know, like, let's take their oil, you know. Yeah. So he's at least somewhat honest. And then you have, you know, somebody like Hillary Clinton, who is 10 times more evil, you know. You know, like I said, there's things I don't like about Trump either, but you know, especially how he's acting now. But I could talk a little bit more about that. But anyway, one thing, Tulsi, that I liked about her is, you know, I just mentioned Google, and she said the same things about Google as I just said, and always do say. You know, they're not out to let, you know, they attacked her too. Remember when they got after Ron Paul running for president 2007, and they said there will be a ban on him. So before the election, 60 days, they took him off of Google basically completely. Nothing was allowed about Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul, you know, from whatever that district was in Texas when he was running for president. So they didn't put anything on there about him. They did it on television as well. No television channel, even though Ron Paul, as far as the people's choice, was probably the top choice to become president of the United States if you were going to ask the people. But they did everything possible to try to sink him. When he had rallies, remember, he had more people come to his rallies than Obama had come to Obama's rallies. When he had fundraisers, for example, just from normal people online, not only did he outdo Obama by a huge, huge, huge margin, he got the record. He got the record for the most donations for, you know, somebody running for president by regular people. You know, I'm not talking about rich people, donors, you know, giving about millions of dollars, but he got a huge amount of money. You know, I think it was like I said, he just made the record on that. But yeah, Google want to make sure that Ron Paul does not get there. They don't want people that are supporting certain things. They want people that support wars. They want people that support a lot of this other stuff that generates money for the people who are willing to do corrupt things to get that money, you know, mostly fleecing the regular people, Americans, or all that. It's another thing about Donald Trump. He's talking about other countries, you know, taking the United States for suckers, you know, and he can get some weight on that. A lot of people are naive enough to believe it. But the real truth of the matter is Donald Trump takes all the other countries and all governments around the world. He takes them all as suckers. He thinks they're all suckers. I mean, what? That's why he's putting tariffs on everybody and all that, and seeing how he can get away with it. And who else would come and say, well, we're going to take back the Panama Canal, you know? And I was thinking he was kidding. I was thinking, oh, this is just some kind of a joke. And Jeffrey Sachs, great economist, he even said the same thing. He said, oh, Trump is just blustering or whatever like that. But, you know, Trump is continuing with this. I'm not so sure, you know, about the Panama Canal. You know, he's definitely probably, I doubt he can ever in a million years try to take Canada and make it the 51st state or whatever. I think that's a very impossible thing to do. But he seems definitely to be a little bit more intent on trying to get Greenland, and that is actually doable. And I think other people have even said that, because you think about this, Greenland, they kind of were a little bit neglected from Denmark, and there's only like 60 some odd thousand people there, you know. And it's not, if you look at a map, and it looks really huge on the map, but I guess that's an optical illusion. I don't know, how big is Greenland really? It's good size, but it's not that big. Maybe it's the size of Ukraine. I don't really know. Which, you know, when you look on the map, if you look at how Greenland looks on a regular map and then look at Ukraine looks much smaller, but in truth, Greenland is not anywhere near as large as it looks on a map. I guess you have to look at a real scale map, and I can't remember, it starts with an M something when they show the real sizes of these places. And Russia is, of course, big. It's not nearly as big as what it looks like on the map either. But Canada is big. The only one that's really accurate, I guess, is Africa. They say that really is pretty much accurate when you look on a map on how big Africa is supposed to be. So let's just say that. And okay, but what about Greenland? Yeah, I think that is actually doable, and it makes you really wonder if Trump is going to try to make some sort of a, they're talking about the deal between Russia and Trump, and even if I think the Trump side said, oh yeah, we've already started initiating things, and then if you talk to Russia, they said they don't heard anything yet, but they certainly would be willing to talk to Trump. So I don't know, is there any truth to that or not? If there has been any kind of channels opened up or not, I don't know. I have a bigger tendency to believe the Russians than I do anybody in the United States. So let's see if he's going to make some sort of a deal with, because I think these things have been done before, hands off. If you look at, say, for example, the Sykes-Picot Agreement back in 1907, I believe is what it was. So this might be something like that, where they have some kind of an arrangement, maybe not put into writing, definitely not put into writing, but that, Putin, and I'm sure he has no interest in Greenland at all anyway. And if it's for economic reasons, he wouldn't have anything either. Trump, he wants to use Greenland apparently for military purposes as well, but they already have it, and they're expanding the military base there already. So it's not like that's any difference. Putin could say, well, just go ahead. I don't have any interest in that whatsoever. It's your deal. Only 60,000 people, but of course, Greenland people have to have some sort of input, even if there's only 60,000 of them. Maybe they want to have more prosperity in their country, open up a lot more mining. The U.S. needs apparently a lot of this stuff. And of course, that's the whole reason for the USA going on their imperialist binge around the world anyway and taking over countries in the way they have been. But I think Donald Trump, he's trying for real imperialism. I think he really wants to make it a part of the United States, which is the old style. What is it, McKinley and some people back there where they really were taking over countries, getting Hawaii and Alaska and all that. Of course, they got Alaska, but they never finished paying for it. So Russia really never got paid for Alaska. I don't know. I don't know if they got paid anything, to be honest with you. So let's talk a little bit more about Denmark. So Denmark, maybe you guys have heard about this, but they have now said that they want to allow Russia, or they've given the green light to Russia already, to repair the Nord Stream pipelines. So, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe, and I tell you what, I think a lot of this is, well, maybe go a little bit into background first. Denmark, as you know, is one of the big supporters of getting the pipeline blown up, and they loved that, Of course, not as much as Poland. Poland was really celebrating, and other countries were. And along with what this pipeline thing, a lot of people are saying that there's some evidence or indications that Germany knew about it ahead of time. Olaf Scholz, and he just allowed it. And it's when you look at that from that perspective, you can see by the way he acts when who was it when Biden said we're going to stop it, and Olaf Scholz said nothing. And a lot of people have commented on that, and how many people before that, Victoria Nuland and whoever, said they're going to stop the Nord Stream pipelines. So, and that was even, I think that was before Trump was doing his little sanctioning thing on the building of the Nord Stream pipelines. So, but anyhow, as far as Denmark is concerned, I think maybe they're starting to get a wake-up call. Maybe a lot of these countries are going to get wake-up calls, seeing how Trump is acting, with his tariff wars on the entire world. Trump against the world, ha ha ha! The master of the entire universe. Maybe that's when he's going to go to Mars too. First Mars, and then the planetary, whatever, the Federation. I don't know. So, what am I at here? What was I saying? Okay, yeah. Maybe a lot of these other countries are going to start to wake up a little bit and say, well, Russia never really did anything to us, did they? But these people, they are put there as puppets. And I don't know, maybe there's a lot of other puppets around there. See, the thing is, they're just interested in filling their pockets. They're interested in their comfort and all that. What the heck is that? I don't even know. So, yeah, so they're interested in their own thing. And if you look at some of these other countries, of course, they're not finished yet. The masters, the ones that are the masters of the universe at the moment, because there's huge protests in Serbia, and big in Slovakia, and they're trying to get those countries. And of course, it's strange. We had an election here, and it occurred without incident, which was very strange. Because it was like they were sending some indications, some of these masters of the universe, at least that branch based in Poland and all, that they were going to be sending in, like I think it's called the Kalinowski regime or regiment. That's a lot of them, of course, got wiped out in Ukraine. Those are the ones that were that are anti-Belarusian government. I'm not even certain that they're pro-Belarus at all, but they get training in Poland and the Baltic states and in Ukraine, and of course they're fighting against the Russians in Ukraine, and they were supposed to be sent in here. And that's what the self-proclaimed leader of Belarus, Tikhanovskaya, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, is getting heavier and heavier. She's getting a lot of eating done. I guess she's living pretty damn good up there in Lithuania, and she said, we can take Belarus back, or take Belarus militarily with the Kalinowski regime, or regiment. Why do I call it regime? Regiment. Getting old. I hope it's not a Biden thing. But, yeah. But anyway, nothing happened, really. It's really strange, because if you think about like some of the last elections and things, and they were really going after it, and then, they had some military that were involved as well. And Russia, I think, when was that? I'll tell you what, they might even try this in the springtime, in May 9th, because they did that one time. They were trying to assassinate the leader of Belarus, Lukashenko, and his entire family back in those days. So, I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen here. They didn't do it then. I mean, they didn't do it just this election. And of course, as Americans, we were told to get out of Belarus immediately. That might have been the title of my last one, where they took it down, because Blinken said get out, and that was of course before Trump took over, and that we have to get out. But nothing happened. It was probably because of the election, I'm assuming. It's not the first time they said get out anyway. And it's like, well, why in the heck should I get out? I'd rather be here than I would in the United States, that's for sure. Especially since I have my life here. What am I going to do in the States? Live on the street? Take fentanyl or shoot it up? I don't know. Jeez. So, okay. What was I saying? Oh, I was talking about Tulsi Gabbard a while ago. And when she was getting her confirmation hearing, at least the most, noteworthy thing, she was giving her closing remarks. And that was interesting, because she was talking about how these, what do you call it? These accolades or whatever, these instruments of the masters of the universe have accused her of being Putin's puppet, Trump's puppet, Assad's puppet, everybody's puppet. Maybe it was Saddam Hussein's puppet, everybody's puppet, because she believes that the only way to resolve problems is to talk to people, maybe, even if they're considered your enemy, to find out what the real truth is, get things going. I mean, she's just got a lot more intelligence and humanity in her than the whole smear of those bunch of idiots, that pass themselves off for like the Democratic Party, and even a lot of them in the Republican Party. So, anyway, she said it so perfectly. She said, I have been accused of being everybody's puppet all at the same time. I'm the puppet of 5 puppet masters. And she said, and the real truth is that I'm not, that these people are just angry that she is not their puppet. Yeah, they want her to be their puppet. And of course, you know, you see that it didn't happen when she kind of split ranks, even if she was still attached to the Democratic Party back in the maybe around 2016, and it was Hillary Clinton. You know, really corrupt lady, very corrupt lady. Some dog is. This is a favorite spot. I gotta really watch. Big dog, because there's big piles here. I should show it to you, but I'm not gonna. You don't want to see this. And make sure I don't step. Okay, but yeah, and she said they're just angry because I'm not their puppet, and that's really a good thing. And that's one reason, as I would say, is why I like living in Belarus. And I call Lukashenko the partisan president. It's because he doesn't go along with these people either. He does what's best for Belarus. He tries to maintain very good relations with all of his neighbors, and he's never done anything to them. But the West wants him to be their puppet, and those leaders in those countries are puppets. So being puppets, the big puppet masters said, go after Lukashenko. And a lot of this, it's just so, you know, let's punish these people until they knuckle down. We can knuckle down on them and make them do what we want them to do and go after Russia until we conquer Russia and take their resources and enslave their people over there, which is kind of like pretty much what they want to do anyway. But they want to make, you know, maybe different classes of citizens, you know, where, and of course, even the citizens themselves are not worth a damn thing as far as they're concerned, because these are the masters of the universe, and they just want to control everyone and everything. And I don't know what's the end game. What's the end game? They control everybody on Earth, but you know, it's going to be a vicious cycle. There's always going to be running around stomping out fires to try to, you know, get these other countries back, put them back in line. They already did that in Georgia. They had Georgia, and now Georgia has decided they want to be a sovereign and independent country and think for themselves. And of course, so they staged all those protests there. You had European leaders over there marching on the streets too. And of course, the same thing is going on right now in Serbia. They got thousands of people. You know, the Soros band, and you know, Soros is just one foundation, one way they actually work through that. And of course, Soros is one of the big puppet masters, of course. Maybe he's the biggest. Well, not really George so much. I think he kind of still is involved, but supposedly his son Alexander is the one that took over. And Alexander said he's going to be worse than his father. In so many words, that's what he said. He's going to get more extreme and more aggressive. So, and maybe that's what's going on right now, because they got protests going on in Slovakia as well. You know, Robert Fico, one of the best leaders. I can tell you, I can't go into the thing, you know, where they were having the lockdowns and all that in 2020 and all that. His view on that, because I can't speak about that, I got to try to avoid it. But a lot of other things. He's really, really good leader. You have to look at all of his stances on things like that. He wants to, you know, be at peace with all his neighbors, everything. He wants to work everything out, but they don't want that. They want control. You know, the masters of the universe and all of their puppets, the puppet leaders, they'll all go along with that too. And then you have some of the major puppet leaders that take care of the other puppets. So the puppet masters have their little puppets, you know, their puppets, and those puppets control the other puppets. You know, one of the puppets would be Ursula von der Leyen. So she controls the other puppets, the lesser puppets. You know, like, you know, obviously Olaf Scholz, you know, the Mr. Compromised Chancellor of Germany. Gosh, terrible, terrible stuff. So these people are kept in line. Makes you, you know, it's not difficult to figure out how that's done. You know, we know where your wife does her laundry. We wouldn't want anything to happen to her now, would we? What about your little girl in school? What about your little girl in school? I saw that the teacher was using yellow chalk on the chalkboard the other day, and she's normally using white. So where did the yellow chalk? Oh, gosh. Oh, yeah, we wouldn't want anything to happen to your little daughter now. You know, that's how these people operate. And then they accuse Putin of being like that. Or maybe Lukashenko, I don't know. So, another thing I should mention. I mentioned this guy in a lot of videos. His name is Gunter Fehlinger. He's an economist from Austria, and he is one of the think tank leaders of NATO. And he's the guy that envisioned how they're going to split up Russia into like 30 or 40 countries, you know, and what flags they're going to have. It's even online. You can find it online. Look up Gunter Fehlinger. And then they'll show you even all the big map of Russia, where they're going to split up, or the borders are going to be, all that sort of thing, the flags that these countries are going to have. And this guy, the country he hates the most is Belarus, of course, because the partisan president here, Lukashenko, I'm certainly grateful to have him, and a lot of people are totally brainwashed in Belarus. I tell you, it is just so amazing. I just cannot get over how people get brainwashed, to go along with and like and dislike. I think it was even Tucker Carlson, and he was talking with Piers Morgan, and Piers Morgan, that guy's gone. I don't know if he's gone or he's just an agent or whatever the deal is, but the guy, makes me sick. I don't even like to see that guy, He's just nothing but a charlatan con artist, Piers Morgan. And Tucker Carlson made him look pretty stupid when he was talking to, I don't know where they were, some kind of I don't know, in some Middle East country or whatever. But it was amazing. It was amazing. And it makes me wonder, how does Candace Owens talk with Piers Morgan, kind of like a mutual thing? She's pretty good at playing around and playing coy and, anyhow. But that's just one thing. Let's not talk about that. But like I said, Gunter Fehling, his most hated country is Belarus, and I think his second on the list is Serbia. He didn't say anything about Russia, but maybe he hates Russia more, but maybe he just holds Russia in a completely different the ultimate hate category. I don't have any idea. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't have that much more to talk about. I just have to... I'm wondering about what Trump is going to be up to, I don't know if he's going to be successful or not, because I think he wants to make sure, and of course I understand him. He wants to make sure that the US dollar stays dominant, because the US dollar is obviously the instrument by which the United States can control the world. And if they lose the dominance of the dollar, as you guys already know, none of you out there that watch this show are stupid, but if that dominance is gone, then the USA is gone, because the USA, they have all that debt. That's another thing. I'm getting over a fence here. Oh, it's acting weird, but it's what was I saying? Well, anyway, that's how they dominate the world, is with the dollar. And of course they can punish everybody, and that's what the sanctions are about with Russia. And that's kind of a strange thing, because look at what they're doing to Russia, and it makes you wonder, well, how is Donald Trump, what leverage is he going to use against Russia when the time comes? Because Donald Trump, obviously, he wants to settle the Ukraine war thing going on right now on his terms. He does not want, because if Russia gets to settle it on Russia's terms, Trump will look bad. And if you noticed anything about Donald Trump, he's not really, even if you think because he's a billionaire, you think, he's driven by money, but he's not really driven by money. And the strange thing is, I don't even think Elon Musk is necessarily driven by money. These people are driven by other things. Donald Trump is obviously, he's driven by his view of success. Well, what is success? So he wants to be successful, and normally money is just a byproduct of being successful. Just as fame, if you are talented or great athlete, you get fame because of your talent. And Donald Trump was getting money because getting money is a sign of his success. So that's what he was doing for most of his life, is amassing money to say, look at how successful I am. So he thirsts for this. He thirsts for this sort of a deal, and he wants to show the world that he can bring peace here and he can bring peace there, and it's not so easy as he thinks it is. Obviously, he said he's going to do it in 24 hours. So what was he going to do? He's going to mostly it was going to be probably leveraged against Ukraine, because obviously if he turns off the spigot of money going to Ukraine, the war is going to be over. Ukraine, it's nothing. It's like, what the heck? I'll tell you what, if I was a leader and I could not, I would try to make peace with my neighbors, be friends and all that. And maybe if somebody wants to do something bad to you, you'd use somebody else. So, we'll use, if you have something to offer to them, you say, well, I'll give you some access to this if you help me against those people over there, and all that sort of a deal. But, Zelensky now, he's trying to sell off the resources. He sold off most of the land already to BlackRock and other firms, and some of the other things that I'm not allowed to talk about, they were doing over there too. These facilities, I'll just say the facilities that were making some things that are not very good for humanity, and they're just not, it's like the ones that the NIH moved to Wuhan, China, from the United States, and of course it was getting done through the United States, also in Ukraine. Now a lot of them are in Africa, you guys know. So, but what else was I say? But anyway, so Ukraine is actually trying to find something, and of course they obviously, he knows the West wants to get Russia, so he said, okay, well, we'll sacrifice all of our blood. I'll sacrifice the blood of all of the young men of Ukraine in order to beat Russia. And a lot of his reasons is it's ideology, as you all know, and Zelensky, of course, is won over by these Nazis. There's no doubt about that. And even if Tucker Carlson said, oh, there's no Nazis in Ukraine, there's no Nazis today. There certainly are Nazis, and those Nazis are far worse than the Nazis of the past. And of course, a lot of the, like I said, maybe I said it in the last video, I don't know, maybe I've been deleted, I can't remember, but a lot of the atrocities that were done in this country, and of course Belarus lost far more people were slaughtered by the Nazis in Belarus than probably nearly, well, you can't really say against Russia because they had the siege of Leningrad and things like that as well, but Belarus obviously lost the larger percentage of their population, more than any country in all of World War II. They lost the largest percentage of their people to the Nazis, and most of the people that were spilling the blood and doing the cruel things, burning people alive, children included, that was the Nazis from Ukraine that were doing all of the most dirty work. And they even appalled the Nazis. I mean, the German Nazis were appalled at the brutality of the Ukrainian Nazis at that time. So there's some people, they do some bad things, of course, now, blowing up school buses filled with children and all that, which is what they were doing and all that time. And and they're doing things now, and maybe some are related to the things I'm not allowed to talk about, the certain types of weapons that they're using, and Russia doesn't ever talk about it. Maybe because it's a mental sort of a deal that they don't want, nobody would want to enlist, I think, if they, and in the Russian military, if they heard the real truth. Look at this. It was so cold. It was so cold. Let's see if I can show you. Actually, I didn't. I'm just now noticing I had this thing wrong. Let's see if I can switch. I don't think I. Let's see if I can switch this now. Yeah, look at those kitties. They're frozen. It was too cold. You can see two cats. Actually, you guys have been watching my face this whole time. I didn't really want that to happen. Just wanted to be a little guy in the corner here on the little screen. It didn't work so well, unfortunately. So, nice young lady for whoever, some of you guys watching. Luckily, I had it on the big screen now, right? So, there's not much more I want to talk about, like I said, and mostly, I just want to make sure that everybody knows. It looks like Donald Trump, he's going to see who he can play for suckers in the world. He's telling that everybody's playing him for a sucker, but in truth, he's playing everybody else for suckers. He's going to see what he gets away with. If he can take Greenland, if he can take the Panama Canal, if he can take, and a lot of people are reacting already. Like I said, this move by Denmark, trying to say, well, let's patch up the Nord Stream pipelines, that is actually in response, I would think, it's a little bit of they're a little bit frightened about Donald Trump, and maybe they're trying to make nice with Russia. We'll see. I don't know. So those are just my thoughts for right now, and I thank you for all for joining me. Gosh, what is it, 40 minutes? Dang, I didn't want to make a long video like this. But anyway, I know that I can upload this. I know that my ban is over. So you guys get to watch this video as far as I know. I don't know, maybe they'll take it down right away. Maybe it's not over, but we'll find out. And next video, I don't know when I'm gonna make that. When the weather gets good and my class is done, I'm gonna probably start making a little bit different types of videos, putting a little bit more into it, of course. Maybe making some travel videos, you know. Anyway, so that's all I have to say for right now. And thanks for joining me. And I'll see you for the next one. Bye-bye.